Hey, we are looking at the Model 2 foot press stud setting machine from Standard Rivet Company, and this is how you would set two-pronged shapes like pyramids and domes without having to use any hand tools. Now, you might have seen this in some of my other videos in the background, but this is the first time we're going to actually talk about it. Again, this is really your only option for professionally setting those decorative shapes. So what we're going to do, and the purpose of this video today, is to show you how this machine sets up out of the box, how you should be arranging everything. I'm going to explain how all these different moving parts work, and we're going to look at some of the different dies that attach onto the machine. Anytime you're setting a different shape, a different spot, you will need a special set of dies for each of those shapes. So we're going to break it all down for you right now. All right, so this is very much how the machine will look when it arrives. Of course, yours will look nice and shiny. And again, this one's 20 years old, so it's had a lot of use, but you really couldn't tell. I mean, it's held up very well. But again, your machine is going to look like this. The spring should be in place already. This little piece here is the spring guard. Before we get too deep into this, I want to bring the arm online, and we're going to take a quick look on the other side, on the back here, going down into the foot pedal. And as we do that, you'll kind of see my table a little more. This actually is just a clothing rack from an old clothing rack from a retail store. I think it's probably from the 80s. And we just cut the top off and put some of this laminate particle board. But all right, let's go spin around the side here. Right, so looking at the back here, towards the bottom, that's the foot pedal. I have some padding on there just to kind of soften it for my feet. That silver piece in the middle, that's the mounting bracket. That needs to be, a couple inches off the ground in order for you to get the full range of motion to finish setting a spot. And then you'll assemble everything with those pins and clips, and then up here we have just bolts, and those holes there, that's so you can get it adjusted just right. And then comes up here to the arm part, and you can see that little cutout in the table. That makes it so we can get the machine closer to the front of the table where I'm working, and it doesn't interfere with the back of the table. So that's a basic setup. Now you will have to have this at a slight angle. Now pay attention to this part. That is, it's kind of hard to show you this in the camera, but the bar is not completely vertical. It's tilted this way just a little bit. I'm exaggerating, but when the foot pedal is pushed down, it should be in a vertical position at that point. So the bar in its resting position like this is at a slight angle going outward away from the foot pedal, and as it goes up it gets closer. But when you push down the pedal, then it becomes completely vertical. So when you're setting this up, you have to make sure that when your pedal is pushed down all the way, that this bar is completely 100% vertical. All right? All right, so if we start at the top and work our way down, we'll kind of look at all the different pieces here. Again, it's pretty simple once you have a basic understanding of it. So this little piece here, I don't use, but what it does, when you screw it down so that the other end of it comes out down here, it will prevent the arm from pushing the drive shaft down all the way like you see here. See how it connects completely with the top? By putting this in here, you're preventing it from doing that. The reason you would do that is if you're working with, say, a really spongy or soft material and you don't want the prongs to fold as far as they possibly can. So again, you probably wouldn't, if you were working with really thick, heavy material, you wouldn't probably ever do that. But like I said, if you had something really thin, lightweight, or something really spongy and dense, that, or spongy, not dense, but something that if you were to give it a full force setting, then it would probably crimp that material in an unsightly way. So this does allow you to fine-tune basically how hard you're setting it. Again, you haven't seen it with the dies on yet, so it's kind of hard to imagine what's going on down here, but we'll get to that part. This piece here is your main spring guard. It's very important that that's in place, just like that. But if you take it down, this is how you would take the spring off or replace the spring if it broke. But you always want to have that in the correct location and just tighten it in there like that. That spring is the main, this is what, when you let off of the pedal, this is what brings everything back up. So it's a very important spring. It'd be very hard to use this machine without this in place. These other things we're going to look at after we get the dies on. So I think now would be a great time to take a peek at those. Okay, so here we have various parts that are used for the dies. These are called throat holders. So this one has nothing in it. There would be a throat that gets put in here. So, and same thing with this one here. This spot here is where the throat goes, and that's this. And then you tighten it down. Now, this set of dies right here, it's three pieces. The piece that I just put in, the actual die, and this is the anvil. And just to give you some idea, it would be for a round dome spot like this. So this spot requires all four of these pieces. Okay, let's bring it back over to the machine and show you how it works. Alright, so to set this up, the first thing you want to do is take this piece here, this is your anvil, and that goes right down there. And you use a flathead screwdriver to tighten it down. I found that it really doesn't need to be tightened. It doesn't move, but you should tighten it down officially. And this here is our throat holder. So this actually goes on this second shaft, and that's going to tighten into place with an Allen wrench. So let's scoot this out of the way. And I'm going to tell you what this is here in a second once we get this in place. So you want that to not have any gap in here. All right. And I always put a spare piece of material right above the anvil when I'm setting this, just so I don't damage my dies. Whoops, it can be a mess. Okay, so now all I need to do is tighten everything in place. The first thing you want to tighten is the throat holder, and then tighten the die. So use your Allen wrench and get in there behind it, and this has to be loosened all the way so that you can maneuver. All right, so that's tight. but this hasn't been set yet, and that's with this little coupling piece. So this round piece with this screw, you can unscrew it all the way and kind of knock it off when you need to take this piece off. But to tighten the die down, just make sure your foot pedal is down all the way and tighten that in. So now this die is ready to use. Now this bar here, this long bar, on the other side of it, that's a spacer. So you can adjust that and move it around, and that will give you distance between the studs. So if you wanted to space them further apart, that's what this can do. That's what this long bar does. This flap on this side here. So whatever direction you're going, you want to make sure that that's in the appropriate place. So that allows you to space the studs or spots apart from, you know, left to right. This is your kind of your depth control. So this allows you to, you know, do straight lines where you can tighten this down. There's a little bolt down on the side here that you can tighten by hand. But now with this piece in place, this guide, we can go through and set all these by just, you know, moving down, and it's always going to be in that same line. So we'll put one in here for you. Oops. That's why this small table doesn't work well if you're not pushed up against a wall. But that's how that works. This piece back here, we should talk about this. You adjust it with the same size Allen wrench, and that's going to control how far down the die goes, so how much space you have between here and the top of the throat. So you have to kind of adjust that to your liking. Usually it's going to be pretty high to make that work effectively. Alright, so we're just about finished here, wrapping this up. I want to show you guys one more thing. This drive shaft area, you do need to lubricate and clean this every once in a while, but whatever you do, do not use any of these types of products that you see here. I'm going to teach you guys in the next video what I use to lubricate this machine. In addition to that, I'm going to also teach you guys some really interesting and cool tricks and techniques that I have learned over the last 20 years that make this machine work smooth and accurately for me. And so I'm happy to teach you guys this stuff so you can learn what I know, and make sure you again hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much for your support. I'm Matt Rizak from leatherpunk.com.